I might use this. So, yeah, I just wanted to get all of you guys muted also, if that's okay. And then after, if you guys want to, say hi or say something that you're struggling with, or if there's anything you guys want to mention about maybe what I spoke about, that's also awesome, and feel free. So let me just mute you guys real quick, and then I'm going to share my screen because I wrote the notes down. Because I'm not good at remembering stuff. That's even when I play the guitar, I have to like look at the words. It's just the way it is. So here we go. I wrote up the four good tips for fat loss, and everybody wants fat loss, and myself included. That's the goal for so many people. And this is the first one that I put up there is the one that really bothers a lot of people, mainly because drinking is, and I've noticed this because this last month now, the month of May, I've gone on a hiatus from alcohol, and I've noticed now that it's almost like everything revolves around having a drink, and that's not bad. It's not a bad thing, right? I love drinking wine. I'm going to do that again, but everything revolves around, hey, come on over, we'll have a drink, or we're gonna whatever we're doing. And obviously we're social distance, so no one's really going over anywhere and having a drink. But even like christenings, parties, anything that we've ever done, anything that I've ever done with my friends, there's always been alcohol present. And it's just interesting to see if you don't drink, how it takes a little bit of discipline. It takes a lot of discipline to not really say, yeah, just give me a drink, just give me one, right? And again, drinking's not bad, and I'm not abstaining from it for any other reason, but for a personal reason of I want to see how strong I am and how I can do this. I'm gonna have a drink again, right? But talking about fat loss and talking about results, and that's one of the reasons why I've done this, it really does hinder your results because your body puts fat burning on the side burner, and when it has to deal with alcohol in your system, right? Alcohol is a toxin. When you drink alcohol, it's got to be processed through your liver. So if your body's getting ready to burn some fat because you've had a good week of eating and you're training and you're moving and everything's going well, when there's a presence of alcohol in your system, it has to deal with that. It has to process that first. You can't live with alcohol in your system. We all know that we can live forever with fat on us. So it's the first thing that I talk about with fat loss, and it's how many times a week are you drinking? When I looked at what I was doing, right, and drinking, a glass or two of wine, say 5 or 6 days a week, that comes out to a good amount of wine, believe it or not. It does. It comes out to a couple bottles of wine. So, how much each time? Sometimes it's not two. Sometimes it's a weekend, and it's like, hey, all bets are off. I'm going to go after it and have 3, 4, 5, whatever. And that adds to the total, right? So if you're at a given level of body fat and you're trying to go lower, like I am, or like all of us are, then it's time to really go lower on the alcohol. You don't have to cut it out, but just almost like be mindful of what you're doing. Sometimes we'll just have a beer, have 2 beers and not even know it, right? So be mindful of how much you're taking in, because also that adds to the next point. Having an alcoholic beverage does add calories. So if you're trying to burn fat, lose fat, you have to be in a caloric deficit no matter what you do, no matter what diet, no matter what. If you're not in a deficit, you are not going to burn fat. So give your body and give yourself the best chance, and that's where limiting the alcohol would come into play. But are you creating a calorie deficit, right? Responsibly or irresponsibly. And that means, are you crash dieting? Are you going way, way too low with the calories, right? Excluding macronutrients because you're scared that they're bad. I've talked about this over and over and over again. Some of these things work in the short term. I've noticed for myself, right? When I went keto and I dropped carbs and I did a lot of different things, I saw a change. But metabolically, things start to happen when you go away from that kind of eating, right? So it'll work for you, but it has to be a complete lifestyle. And for me, it wasn't easy for me. Now you have to do what works for you. Number one is caloric deficit, but do not be scared of a macronutrient. Don't be scared of carbs. Don't be scared of a certain food group, right? You just got to eat whole foods. And that's the problem, right? See, long-term, our goal is to not damage our metabolism. Long-term, our goal is to create a healthy eating lifestyle that we can follow, whether it's high fat, low carb, low fat, high carb, however you want to do it. they're all just vehicles to keep the calories down. And so is intermittent fasting, something that I've done for years and years and years, that shortens your window of eating, which makes you eat less, right? And puts you in a caloric deficit. They're all vehicles, right? So the goal is to know if you're in a caloric deficit. A responsible caloric deficit, guys, is like 200 to 500 calories. I'm going to give you the most simple rule of thumb. If you want to lose fat, take your body weight, multiply it by 10, right? And that will be your calories for fat burning, right? If you look at like what maintenance calories are the calories that you would take in just to keep your body the way it is. And if you want to lose fat, you want to get 200 to 500 calories below the maintenance calories. And that is usually, generally speaking, whatever your weight is, your body weight times 10. Body weight times 12 is usually around what your maintenance calories would be. So think about what you want to do. So for me, if I'm going to talk about me being 170 pounds when I started this journey, I set my calories at 1750. Now, if you use an app called MyFitnessPal or some other apps, they'll help you with this as well. You could Google, there's different formulas that you can create. The InBody gives you your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. You can figure out what your calories are, your diet calories are through certain formulas. And I can help you with those. If you guys reach out, I can help you with those things. But just if the science behind the formulas that you can do is exactly the same as if you just really take your body weight and multiply it by 10 or 12. It comes within a couple numbers, right? So let's just say, like me, 170 times 10, 1,750 calories. That's my goal. And I want to be responsible eating whole foods and eating the foods that are going to fill me up and be nutritious and also be lower in calories. Like Billy says, no one gets fat eating broccoli, right? You just don't, right? When you look at eating a higher fat content food, you're not gonna be able to eat as much because fat has more calories per gram than do carbs and lower carbs and protein. So if I'm gonna have a piece of chicken, now lately I've been opting for the breast and no skin and grilled with lower in the with olive oil. I still have those things. I still have avocado on there. I've just paid attention to how much, because I know that a half of an avocado could almost be 300 calories. Sometimes I have a breakfast that's 300 calories, I'm talking, it's like a cup of oatmeal, it's fruit, it's a half a scoop of protein powder, it's a half a teaspoon of almond butter. It tastes like dessert for breakfast, and it's 328 calories. And that's the same as a quarter, almost a half of an avocado. Think about that. So what's more satiating? I'll do so much better if I have 3 or 4 meals like I just told you about my breakfast in my day, and I'll be 1,700 calories or under, and I'll be happy as hell. And you know what? It's annoying to count calories, and I know that. I get it. But when you start to do it, after a while, you just get it. So I did this for the first couple of weeks of this month when I really got on this mission. And now it's like, I know, like the handful diet, the palm of your hand protein, like I just know how much chicken's going to be in my bowl for my lunch. If I'm going to use spinach or kale or any kind of green vegetable, I'm not worried about how much I'm putting in there. Like that's almost like, just be liberal with that. And then whatever, if I'm having a sweet potato, I'll do half of it and I'll mix it in there, and it's just a great lunch for me. And I know that I'm clocking it in at 400 or so calories. So if I do that with a 350 calorie breakfast, I'm looking at like 700 calories here, and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have dinner. And if I want to have a little dessert or a snack, I got like 750 calories to deal with. Think about that. So you can be smart about your dinner. And if you want to save some room for dessert, you see how it's working? Like it's just kind of creating this lifestyle of knowing what it is that you're eating and then eating the right stuff, right? And that's why I wanted to put this right in here, understanding what your portions are, right? Once you get that down, so once you understand what your caloric deficit is, that you're going to start tracking your food taken, you're going to start understanding what your portion sizes are and how those meals work. And let's all face it, guys. We stick to 3 to 5 meals. We always do, like whether we're busy or not. I've been on quarantine. I can make like the craziest meals I want, but I stick to the easiest 3 to 5 meals I can make, and I go, right? So understanding that those portion sizes fit in those meals and you get good at it, the next thing is consistency. Consistency is always, always going to win out. You're going to have your bad days. I had one bad day this month. I did, but I could have threw the towel in. I didn't. I turned around and got right back on it the next day. You're going to have your bad days, but over the course of the long haul, just like in training, you're going to have your weeks where you only can train once a week, or you hurt yourself so you can't do that much, or your back's bothering you. So that whole week you have to go light. You know how it is. But if you look at your entire year, that little period of time that you took a break is just a little pimple, right? So in your diet, when it comes to your nutrition, it's the same thing. So consistency, sticking to it, because you know what? You're not going to get the results right away. They're not going to just show up. And again, I'm having the same issues. Like it's slow going a little bit, but I do see progress and I'm happy with the progress. And when I get progress, I get positive, even though it's not 5% in the month, right? 5% body fat. Oh my, maybe it's a 0.5%, but it's still going the right way. And I'm going to stick to this thing because it's working, right? Cheat meals versus cheat days. So people are like, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to eat well. I'm going to really diet down. And once a week, I'm going to eat whatever the heck I want, right? Now, if you're at a certain level of leanness, right? If you're feeling pretty good and you're flat stomach and you're solid in tone and you feel good, yeah, have a cheat meal once a week if you're dieting and you're strict. But if you're not, it's not time for that. You need to get to a certain period, right? Now, after a certain period of time, you're going to need it for a mental break, then go for it. But if your goal is fat loss, you need to do the best you can to stay on it until you get to a certain level of being comfortable with yourself and being comfortable with where your results are. Then you add yourself a cheat meal. Cheat days, in my opinion, I think are a little bit too much and too overdone. And I think they turn into going back in the other direction. A whole entire day of like 5 and 6 and 700,000 calories. It's just not, I don't see the positive, mindset in that whole thing. But I do understand giving yourself a nice meal and a night, an evening, maybe it's a Friday or Saturday night, where you have a couple glasses of wine and your family's having pizza and you're just like, man, I've been dieting down for 6, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. I'm having this pizza and I'm enjoying myself. These are the things that these conversations you got to talk to yourself about. Last 3, training. We all know the training, guys. This is TFW, right? Cardio and conditioning complexes. That's like the Wednesday workouts and weight training. You need all 3. You need everything. But for fat loss, weight training is the key. It is the key. That because muscle is just more of an active tissue than anything else. So weight training 3 to 5 times a week and nutrition is going to be the key to the base of fat loss. Now, you're going to need all these other things because, first of all, they could be more fun for some people. Some people may not like to weight train as much as they like doing the complexes on Wednesdays, the AMRAPs, the EMOMs, the conditioning, like the hurricanes and the circuits and the warrior days and the pyramids and all the things that we do. Those are great. But if you did just that, it would be very difficult for you to get to a certain level of fat loss. Okay? So you have to understand, and this is that one thing that we hear all the time from people. I'm so scared to get bulky. You're never going to get bulky, never. And you guys know this. And I know I'm speaking to people who believe in weight training and understand it. So that is the one thing. And I learned myself when I increased my weight training by adding one more day and taking away one day of just steady state cardio. I saw differences. Right. And I've also learned to be smart with my recovery days, which a lot of you guys have had conversations with me about those days. And I see some of you guys on here that really go as hard as you can. And sometimes taking those days off is very difficult, but those are the days that actually help with progress and fat loss. And then the last one is something that I preach all the time, and that is lifestyle. And it's not an easy thing to adopt. It's just like any other thing. But if it's really super important to you, then you will change your lifestyle. If it's really something that you really want to accomplish, you will change your lifestyle. And I'm not saying a complete 180. I'm saying start to make changes. Stress is a killer. We hold on to fat because of stress. Sleep has a lot to do with stress, and stress has a lot to do with sleep. They're interconnected. We all know this. It's hard to sleep when your wheels are turning. Vanessa's wheels are always turning. I'm always trying to tell her, and rightfully so, right? There's so much going on in our lives. So it's so hard. And then there's NEAT, right? non-exercise activity thermogenesis. We're in quarantine. It's easy to sit down. But if you can get up and just because the weather's so nice, we're outside doing things anyway. But a full day, if you did not train at all, but a day that's outside, maybe working in the garden, mowing your lawn, pulling weeds, doing the things that you would do outside, planting flowers, watering your flowers, walking around, cleaning up, throwing the garbage out, going up and down the stairs with your laundry, doing the things that people just did 100 and 200 years ago and stayed lean, right? That's what NEAT is. And I think that because we feel like, hey, I had 4 or 3 really intense workouts, those other days I'm just going to do absolutely nothing. That's not going to be beneficial to you. In fact, there are studies that show you that if you don't do any exercise and you just really kind of live your life the way I just explained and you eat super, super healthy, that you can get almost the same benefits. Okay, now we understand weight training is the one thing that's going to change that. But you can get the fat loss benefits. You can start to see results by just doing those things. Now, if you add those things to your off days while on a great weight training and fitness program like Training for Warriors, then you're going to win. But it all comes down to that one thing that I talked about up here. It all comes down to consistency. Consistency with everything. That's the key. If you're not consistent, you're never gonna get anywhere. You're gonna be walking on the treadmill. And I know what's going on in your head. It's like it's easy for me to do. It's easy for me to say, this is what I do. This is my field. This is my passion. But it's not, guys. It's not easy. It's not easy for me. And I'm not perfect. And I'm trying desperately to be better than I was yesterday. And I'm trying desperately to have the body that I've always wanted for myself, right? So that's it. That's my battle. That's my struggle. That's what I'm going to go for. And I'm going to go as hard as I can because it's what I want, right? You have to figure out what you want, not try to be like how I'm trying to be, right? If for you need to have a night off and you need to have a couple of glasses of wine because that's what keeps you sane and going, well, then that's you. And you're going to get the results that you decide you're going to get. But if you're saying, hey, I need something more, I want more, I'm not satisfied, and you got to look at those 4 things that I just talked about, and you got to seriously start to like ask yourself these questions. Do I do these things? And if your answer is no, then you have to dig deeper into why and how you can fix it. And if you need help with fixing that, all you have to do is reach out. And that's why I'm here. That's why we're on this thing. That's what we do. So I want to learn so much about this on myself that I can really, really help you guys dial it in, because this could also help you get to the next level, because a lot of us have stagnant results. So how do we get to that next level? And I'm starting to crack the code in my own situation and understanding that it isn't that hard and it shouldn't be that complicated. And diet and timing and food timing and eating certain foods and all that stuff, it shouldn't have to be so much clutter up here. You should just be able to eat, and eat the foods that make you happy, eat the foods that you can, that are healthy, and just go. That's my belief. And I'm starting to feel that way. So that's it, guys. I'm going to stop the recording here.